this is an absolute lifesaver. But I don't use actual manifolds. I haven't for a number of years, and they're not referring to condoms. Well, everybody asked for it. It's time to do it. We are doing my service truck loadout. This is a F250. It's a 2022 model. I haven't had this truck that long. My previous rig was a F250 20 what was it, 17? So we do have a royal bed on it. I don't have a whole lot of experience with this bed. Most of them are the, you know, knip-bead, or however the heck you pronounce that I've just gave up trying to figure that out in my life. Anyway, honestly, it's been a really good bed so far. I've been really happy with it. It's really smartly organized, and the ergonomics of it is really good. Got this top rail box. So in my first box here, we have pipe cutters. We also have some, this is my bag. So this bag goes with my megger that I use. These is just kind of this little combo set. All the leads, everything I need for it goes here. I keep all my additional nyalog. I also have a label maker. This is my trusty bench meter. It's not a hugely expensive one, but it is expensive enough that I didn't like having to carry it every day. It was a fantastic daily carry, to be honest. It worked really, really well for the design of it. And all those little parameters, I mean, this is a fabulous meter. I love this thing. But I didn't want to keep tearing it up, which is why I switched over to that UEI beater meter. Anyway, I do still have a old Magna Helic floating around in the truck. It's not the best place or best way to keep them. This one may not even be all that accurate anymore, but it's there, if anything, for sentimental reasons. You know, that's where everything started. Also a caliper. This was one I bought a number of years ago. I've used it quite a bit over time, but I've actually, you know, it's done really well for me. It's Clockwise Tools is the brand. Is some inexpensive thing off of Amazon at the time. That's what I could afford, and it worked for me. And I've tried really hard to take good care of it, and genuinely, it's done a great job. Moral of the story is, if you don't have to have the most expensive thing out there, just as long as you take care of what you do have. Anyway, moving on. We do have the trusty old Supco fan blade puller. This thing has done really well for me. The only complaint I have is, yeah, this the bolt tip doesn't always hold up all that well. As you can see, this one's been pretty heavily worn. It's tore up quite a bit over time. Now, I do have a tip for that, and we can get to it on the other side, but I'll show you. There's some adapter kits that you can get and use with these that'll actually help protect these tips, and they won't tear up as bad. Especially like these Supco ones that bolts are pretty soft metal, and that's why it tears up the way it does. Anyway, it's still there. It still gets used, you know, on occasion. It's not an all the time thing. Of course, I got duct tape, I got batteries, my little sub cooler. I won't pull it out, but I've got quite a few videos with that sub cooler that y'all can check out. I came up with this design a number of years ago, and it's been really good to me. I really prefer this Corrosion X. This is a fantastic penetrating oil / lubricant. You know, it does a really good job. I keep a couple of cans on me at all times. Highly suggest this stuff if you have it available. Another one I can suggest, it's not quite as effective in my opinion, but it's really close for like fan shaft blades, is this Penetrate HD, the super penetrating oil by Nuclegon. That's who produces it. Anyway, really good stuff. It's helped me out of a few different binds. I can suggest that to you. I do like it. Now this is, you know, it's kind of a specialty item. Retrofit kits for the Belimo actuators when you put them on a globe valve setup. This is the plastic gauge that you can put on there to make sure that you're setting your depths and everything properly. And anyway, I keep one on hand just in case I ever needed it for repair, service, whatever. Just one of those little knick-knack things. Down here We have the Hvac 220 pound scale. I've got a full-size cobalt socket set. Comes in really handy and just kind of one-off things. I also have a ratchet bender, so that's nothing fancy. I think everybody's pretty familiar with those. We get over to one of my favorite sections. So in here we have the it's the DeWalt. What series is this? The DCD 985. It is a hammer drill combo. This thing has done a fantastic job for me. If you can't tell, I use DeWalt. For all you Milwaukee guys, y'all can just, well, go be Milwaukee, I guess. Anyway, have really enjoyed using this drill. It's done a good job for me. Actually, I got it in one of their kits. So their kit came with a series of different things, and they've really enjoyed this drill ever since then. I also carry the DCS 381 Reciprocating Saw Sawzall, for those who don't know the actual name of it. Anyway, this has been really good to me. It's not the real fancy one. I know DeWalt's got some, like their what do they call them, the Flex Volt series. I don't have any of that stuff, so if you're looking for any of that, just yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you. We also have, it's kind of a pain to pull out, so I'm not going to, but it's the DCS 393. It is their little 6-inch circulating saw. You'd be surprised how handy and how often that comes in handy. I also carry the DCS 355, the oscillating saw or cutter. My only, one big complaint that's really kind of limited the effectiveness of this tool is the blades that they sell for them. Granted, we work on some really hard metals that are not easy to cut in general, and these blades that they make, just DeWalt, if you were going to do something, or just anybody, I've tried a couple of different brands of blades, they don't hold up well. But actually, if somebody has a brand of these oscillator blades that they've had really good results with, go ahead, drop it in the comments, because I'd be really interested to see if we can find a good quality blade. Because if I had blades that actually held up to some heavy use, then I would use this thing way more than I do. Now, this is one of my really all-time favorites, is the DCF 899 half-inch impact, 1200 pounds of torque total. When you're doing really heavy work, chiller work, anything of that nature, you get on that larger side of things, this is an absolute lifesaver. And for all those who don't have one on a job site, it always turns into a cool conversation, because they want to sit there and drool over it, because, well, it's a cool tool. I mean, honestly, guys. Then we have another one of my favorites. Let me get it out of there. Where's the tag? Here we go. The DCS 371 bandsaw. Now, this is the smaller version. They do have a bigger one. I personally didn't want the bigger one for what I do every day. This little small, I think it'll do what, a 4-inch total. The bigger one will do significantly more than that, obviously, but this has been a really good bandsaw. Now, the blades are a different story. My complaint with this bandsaw is the blades can be kind of challenging to find. You can find them, and I do keep a couple of sets of them. And I do have a spare DCF 885 little quarter-inch impact. Nothing fancy. I think all of us have kind of seen those. And up top here is just kind of an assortment of different things. I've got a Stanley deep socket impact rated set. Goes from, I don't even remember now, 3/8 all the way up to 1 inch. Very, very useful. The typical everyday items this kit will cover. The only other thing that I see on a daily basis is an 1 1/8", which those are in a different box, and I'll show you those in a bit. Other than that, this is just a kind of a assortment of random things, no legitimate organization to it. Got you a strap wrench. These are really good for doing like oil filters on chillers. Fantastic to have on hand. Now, one thing that's really neat about this bed is it does come with all these little divider boxes. I have yet to put these to use, just to be frank. I keep a assortment of different field piece meter heads, what they call the anemometer. Then we have this is the duct cyclometer, the AAT3. The anemometer was the AAV3. And then I also have the manometer, dual port manometer, which is the ADM-N2. Of course, they also have the little accessory head. So that's the other thing, is you got this little accessory head. I do use this most of the time. It is a EHDL1, pretty useful. This was the first scale I started with a number of years ago. Here, we'll come drop the tailgate. So with this scale, it's the field piece. Now this one's only, I think, 110 or 150 pounds, which, you know, it's just not enough. But it's the SRS1. Now, I told y'all whenever I did my everyday carry video that this was going to be my new hose bag, and I followed through on that, and it is. So I've got my little gauge heads in here. I keep my little solenoid magnets as well, and then back here I have all my hoses. So again, if you don't know, I've talked about it a few times, but I don't use actual manifolds. I haven't for a number of years. I started to practice just doing straight hoses and pulling straighter cores, and what it did, and the reason I went that direction is it allowed me to simplify what I carry on a regular basis. What it also did is it sped up my just workflow and what I was doing. So this is the Titan Brute, I believe. Which one are you? Yeah, the Titan 4-way. Yeah, there you go. So this is my manifold setup. So whenever I do use a manifold, this is what I got. Highly recommend these, even to somebody that's entry level. It doesn't matter what level of this trade you're working at, whether you're doing residential, commercial. You know, this is a amazing set of manifolds. You have the Titans. You also have the Brute. I think they're the Brute 2s actually, that the Yellow Jacket produces, and they're fantastic. And you want the 4-port, you know, with the vacuum technology and things that we have today, and the proper practices that we can follow. You're gonna save yourself so much efficiency having a full port setup like that. And then we have one of my favorite toys, and I do call it a toy, it's really not a necessity, but it's the DCG G571. It is a cordless grease gun. Over here on the passenger side now, so this is the MB2, I believe. Yep, MB2 bag. And this has one job. At one time, this was my everyday, you know, go bag for my service work. Now it is the everyday carry my Comfort Link Navigator bag. We have the Tech Mate. Now there are a lot of different leak detectors out there, but by far, for a couple of different reasons, this Tech Mate is my preferred. Main reason number one, it's inexpensive. You can usually pick them up for less than $200. If it absolutely tore up, which I've never had mine do that, but if it was to, it's not a huge thing. It's not like you drop $300-400 on a leak detector. It's a hard pill to swallow. On top of that, this is not rechargeable, which is my preference. I do not care for the rechargeable ones. I have had a number of rechargeable ones, and I get sick and tired of having the batteries crap out, or you constantly have to keep them charged all the time, and it's a pain to manage. What I like is I can just carry a couple of batteries with me. When the batteries say I'm done, I pop new ones in and I keep rolling. As simple as that. You can buy these little canisters with extra filters, and when the sensor begins to have issues, or actually they say after 100 hours of use, they want you to change this sensor out. I really like that feature. This is just an all-around, it's excellent for any level of technician. We've got a flaring kit and swaging kit. We have the trusty old soldering iron. I used to do a lot more electronics type work. This used to be a pretty routine tool for me. I would actually repair a lot of my own circuitry. Especially we call the supply house, oh yeah, it's going to be, you know, a month from now before you get your part. Well, I can't really have them down for a month when I got a couple of blown resistors and stuff. So you can, now it's a lot harder than it used to be, but you can fix your own circuitry. Especially you start talking like defrost control boards and stuff. You know, you have those fan relays go out and those defrost control boards. It's possible to get somebody back online. You can change that relay out on that control board. Now, where that becomes really complicated is, one, it's not recommended at all, even though I did it. But two, now that they've gone to micro type components, and even now further than that, nano components, they're a whole lot harder to do than they used to. I got a couple of knee pads. These actually have been really good ones. I really like these. These are the Knee Pro, there we go. I can read it the right way. Knee Pro 3s. I've had those for a number of years. These are those extra blades I get for that DeWalt. So it is a compact portable bandsaw. I'm trying to see if I can find a specific. Anyway, point is, I do have some local supply houses that carry these. I can go pick these up at. You probably do too. You just got to call around and ask. But this is what I buy, and what you see here is another one of my experiments that I've tried over time. It was a custom bearing puller that I was building and had somewhat limited success with. We won't talk about beyond that. Anyway, random plumbing assortments. In here I've got my grinder. So this is my grinder bag. Now remember, if you watch my everyday carry video, I talk about having specialty bags built for specialty jobs. So a grinder bag having all the grinder assembly is one of them. I also have a bag where I keep all of my Allens of different types. I also have a bag where I keep all my pullers. So depending on what job I'm going to be doing, whether I'm changing bearings or say I'm having to cut them out, just whatever it is, I know what bags I can grab to get that job accomplished. Moving on to the middle. Some 24-inch pipe wrenches. I also recommend some of the, I was actually talking to one of my techs just this last week about this. The 24s are really good just all around for some of your larger stuff. You can get a set of like 36s. That's not going to hurt you either. But if you're trying to get just started and you're doing some more heavy side work, get a set of 24s, and I do mean a set, and then get a set of probably 14s or 18s, either or. That's going to be a really good starting place to get your tools going if that's what you're trying to do at that time. Anyway, I've got a set of 24s. I had a set of 18s at one time, but I think I left them somewhere, and I couldn't tell you the last time I saw them. Anyway, here's the manual grease gun. An oil pump. This is a oil pump for compressors. So if you've never seen one, this is just one version of it. They have, I mean, the other version that you'll see has like a little foot pad you can step on, and it's got a little pickup tube that'll dip into the bucket. And then this one, you just slide straight into the bucket, tie your hose in, and just start to pumping. What can be kind of a pain with these is getting them primed. So if you've never used one before, first time you take it out of the box and you try to get it primed up, if it's real easy to move and pump, even if there's no pressure on the system, you're probably not pumping much. You should feel a decent amount of resistance. Now granted, obviously if there's pressure in the system, you're going to feel a lot more resistance with that, but just really handy to have. If you're going to do any kind of commercial work, this is going to be something that at some point in your career you're going to come across, you're going to need. So that's a wise investment to make now versus later. This has nothing to do with HVAC really. This is a Pex Crimp Tool, so you can do Pex piping with it. I bought it for some personal projects, and it lives in my truck. Anyway, these are just some kind of random assortments, nothing fancy. I do keep some extra grease up here. Then you've got just a assortment of random items. So for example, I've got some water gauges with Pete's plug adapters. These are definitely something that are really good to have on hand. So this is just a guard to protect the needle, and then this slides into the Pete's plug. Now if you don't know, a Pete's plug is it's just a plug in a pipe, like a water pipe for a chill water system, for example, and in the middle of that we'll have a little hole with a rubber grommet in it, and this is designed to stab through that grommet, and it's got a little pickup hole right there, you can see, and this way you can get a pressure reading through that without having to physically pipe in a gauge or something of that nature. This is just real quick, stab it in, get your reading, you can pull it back out, move on. Very, very handy. I do highly recommend them. Not everybody knows what they are, and that's okay. That's the reason why we do videos like this, so you can see something. So here's my Dentec. This is a very expensive kit from Walmart. It might have cost me $2. This makes a excellent gasket changing tool. So you're going to be changing the gaskets out in your hoses, whatever you've got. This is what you're going to need right here. These little picks in here are fantastic in helping achieve that process. This is a bearing puller set. So this is specifically, now I've kind of upgraded it, you can see with these all threads, but this is for pulling motor bearings, you know. This is just meant to wrap around the bearing housing, and then it'll just grab it and pull it right off. So keep that on me. That's just some kind of electronic stuff. My regular hard hat. Ooh, now I mentioned these with that puller earlier. These are puller adapters. Okay, I wonder what they actually, shaft protector set is what they specifically call it, and they're not referring to condoms, but this is what you can use, and this is made of a pretty hard metal, and I've not actually had anything where this tore up, and what it did is all my other pullers, it was actually able to protect them and keep the tips from getting flared out or tore up or anything of that nature. So this kit comes with a couple of different sizes, so you can kind of pick and choose which one fits your application at that time. But I really recommend this. This is an OTC 8056 kit. Here we have our acetylene torches. I don't really have anywhere else to put them. I also have a DeWalt. Yes, more DeWalt stuff. See, this is a DCV 581H. Really handy vacuum. I've really enjoyed it. It's done a good job. I've put it through its paces pretty good over the last few years. Everybody's seen the new MCT, so I've had it for, I think I did that video, it's been what, about a month ago maybe a little less than that. But it's been a really good bag. I'm actually really happy with it. I'm glad that I got it and I've switched over to it. So anybody that is wondering, 100% could recommend this to you. And then if you didn't see the video from earlier this week, this is that old shaft seal out of that YK chiller. I'm thinking about doing a video where I completely break this whole seal assembly down. And I'm curious to get your thoughts. If that's something you would like to see, then go ahead and give me a comment. Just let me know, yay or nay. To see if it's even something I should take the time to do. And what I would do if I did it is I would split this seam and I'd actually go in and do a full deep dive into the various seal components inside of this shaft seal. So it's a pretty neat little nifty device. And there's several different versions out there, but if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go check it out. It is a chiller shaft seal for a YK centrifugal chiller repair. And then that leads us to the truck itself. To be quite frank, these trucks, while they're fantastic, I actually really enjoy this series of truck. Since about, I think they moved to this style in 2017, and they're all the same. So the 2017 model interior, there may be some slight changes to the radio, but that's literally it. Everything else is the same. Now, one thing that drove me crazy with the other series that I had, or the earlier model of this, was it has some kind of fuel rail issues that it won't start properly, and it just acts up and gets funny. We had a couple of those trucks in our fleet, and we've had them kind of in and out of the shop with that issue. But this particular one, the 2022, granted, is brand new, but it's I think that they've addressed some of those issues. And it just, I don't know. We'll long term, we'll see if that changes. Maybe I'll give you all an update on that. But overall, very good truck, nice layout. I enjoy the seats and the way that they're pretty modular. I can fold them up, lay them down, whatever. By the way, this is my father. Everybody say hi, Dad. How you doing? MTT, guys. Take care of your family. Make the time for your kids, for your spouse. They really need you, despite just many of the challenges we have in this trade and what we deal with every day. You know, we've got to make sure that we're taking that time, we're making that time. You know, they're only, your family life, your home life is only going to be as healthy as much time as you put into it and as you make for it. You're never going to have that time. You're always going to have to make it. By the way, website is coming. I'm really hoping to launch it here in December, but there's some little things I'm having to work through and figure out, and so I'm really trying, guys. Anyway, YouTube's gonna recommend this video to you. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you later.